At the age of 82, I've gathered a lifetime of lessons. But there's one decision I wish I could take back: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the smart thing to do. My family supported it. They said I'd be cared for, comfortable, safe. I believed them. I trusted that it would be a peaceful new chapter in my life. But once I got there, the truth hit me like a wave. It wasn't what I had imagined, not even close. If you're watching this, you might be thinking about making the same choice. Maybe for yourself. Maybe for someone you love. Maybe you've been told it's the best option. Maybe you think it'll make things easier. But before you decide, I want to share 6 powerful truths I wish someone had told me. These aren't just details, they are life-altering realities. And once you're in, it's not so easy to get out. Please stay with me until the end. What I'm about to say might change the way you see everything. Regret number 1: losing my independence. The biggest shock wasn't the small room. It wasn't the unfamiliar food or even the new faces. It was the quiet, creeping loss of control over my own life. Before the move, I had my own rhythm. I chose when to wake up, what to eat, and how to spend my day. I could take a walk whenever I liked, make a cup of coffee just the way I loved it, or simply sit with a book in my favorite chair. But in the nursing home, everything runs on someone else's schedule. Breakfast is served at a fixed hour, even if you're not hungry. Lights go out at night whether you're sleepy or not. Want to step outside? You'll need permission. And you might have to wait a while for someone to take you. The little things, what to wear, when to rest, what to do, start to feel like privileges rather than basic choices. I still remember my first morning. I woke up in a bed that wasn't mine, reached for my book and looked around. My home was gone. My comfort, my freedom, my small joys, gone. Replaced with sterile walls and unfamiliar silence. It hurts, not all at once, but slowly. And worst of all, once you give up your independence, getting it back is nearly impossible. You stop fighting, you adapt. And without realizing it, you begin to disappear into a routine that isn't yours. If you're thinking about moving in, ask yourself this: are you ready to let go of the simple freedoms that make your life feel like your own? Regret number 2: feeling forgotten. One of the hardest things about being in a nursing home is realizing how easily the world forgets you. When I first moved in, my family promised to visit, and at first, they did. My daughter came once a week. My grandchildren stopped by on weekends. It gave me hope. But as time passed, those visits became rare. My daughter began to call instead. My grandchildren became busy with school, work, their own lives. Holidays were the worst. Everyone said they'd come, but plans always changed. And I found myself sitting alone in the common room, surrounded by others waiting, hoping, silently watching the door. It's not that they stopped loving me. It's just that life moved on, and I wasn't part of it anymore. Out of sight, out of mind. There was a night I remember vividly. I held my phone, wondering if I should call my son, but I didn't. I didn't want to sound needy. I didn't want to remind him that I was still here, waiting. That's when I realized this was my new reality. If you're thinking about this kind of life, ask yourself, can you handle the silence? Because once you're no longer in their daily world, you become a memory they mean to visit, but often don't. Regret number 3: losing my purpose. When I moved in, I thought I was just changing my address. I didn't realize I was leaving behind the reason I woke up in the morning. At home, I had purpose. I watered my plants. I made my own breakfast. I swept the floor and folded laundry. These weren't chores. They were proof that I was still needed, still capable, still alive. But in the nursing home, everything is done for you. Meals are cooked, rooms are cleaned. There are no plants to water, no coffee to brew, no mess to tidy. At first, it felt like a break, but soon the days began to stretch, long, empty, and slow. I saw it happen to others too. People who once had full lives now spent their days sitting in silence, watching clocks tick. I met George, an 84-year-old former carpenter. At home, he built birdhouses and fixed broken furniture. Here, he had nothing to create. No tools, no tasks, no purpose. I watched his hands go from strong and skilled to still and idle. One day, he looked at me and said, "I don't feel like myself anymore." I knew exactly what he meant. If you're thinking about moving in, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because in here, you'll have to fight to keep it. Regret number 4. My health faded faster than I ever imagined. What I didn't understand in the beginning was this: the less you do, the less you can do. I stopped moving as much, thinking I was just giving myself a break. But very quickly, I began to notice the changes. My legs felt stiffer. My steps were slower. Getting up from a chair, something I had done effortlessly for years, suddenly required effort and a moment of thought. The muscles I had spent a lifetime building were quietly disappearing, and it happened much faster than I expected. And I wasn't the only one. I watched it unfold in others too. Residents who had arrived walking with confidence were now in wheelchairs. People who once took pride in being independent were now waiting on someone just to help them put on a sweater. The more help we received, the more we seemed to need it. It was as if every little task we gave away took a piece of our strength with it. There was a woman named Alice, 81, who lived just down the hall from me. When she first arrived, she was vibrant, taking daily walks, laughing with the nurses, always insisting that she wouldn't slow down just because of her age, but gradually those walks became shorter. Then she began using a walker, then a wheelchair. One afternoon she turned to me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I've aged 10 years in just a few months." And I understood, I felt it too. In a place where everything is designed for ease and comfort, it's easy to forget that movement is more than just motion, it's survival. Muscles need to be used. The body needs challenges. And when those disappear, your strength fades. If I had known how fast it would happen, I would have fought harder. I would have taken the long way to the dining room, stretched every morning, made a habit of walking even when I didn't feel like it. So ask yourself this: will you still have the motivation to move, to stay active, to push your body, when everything around you is built to make life effortless? Because once you slow down, regaining momentum becomes a mountain, not a step. Regret number 5. Losing my privacy and my dignity. One thing I never really thought about before moving into a nursing home was how much privacy I would have to give up. At home, I had my space. I could close a door and be alone with my thoughts. I could take a bath when I wanted, sit in silence or listen to music without interruption. That freedom, the right to be unseen, to be quietly yourself, is something I never imagined I'd miss so deeply. But here, privacy becomes a luxury. From the day I arrived, I felt like I was always on display. Staff walked in and out of rooms, scheduled checks, shared spaces. No true solitude. Even simple acts, getting dressed, using the bathroom, suddenly required help. And while I know they were just doing their jobs, it doesn't make it any easier to ask for assistance with things you've handled independently for a lifetime. I remember the first time I needed help with a shower. I waited until someone was available. I stood there, towel in hand, feeling like I was waiting for permission just to feel clean. It felt like I had lost something I couldn't name. The freedom to act on your own terms is not something you truly appreciate until it's gone. And then there were roommates. Not everyone gets a private room. You might share your space with someone you've never met. Someone with a completely different rhythm, habits, or even cognitive condition. I was lucky. My roommate was kind. But many others weren't so fortunate. Some couldn't sleep because of noise. Some felt unsafe. Some were simply exhausted by the constant presence of someone they didn't choose. You do your best to decorate. A few pictures, maybe a familiar blanket, but no matter what you do, it doesn't feel like yours. And slowly, that feeling starts to seep into your sense of identity. People start talking to you like a patient, not a person. They knock, but don't always wait for an answer. They decide your schedule. And with every little piece of control that's taken, a bit of your dignity goes with it. So ask yourself, are you truly ready to let go of the privacy and self-direction you've had your whole life? Because once that dignity slips through your fingers, it's very hard to get back. Regret number 6. Leaving isn't as easy as you think. When I moved in, I told myself, it's just temporary. I'll try it for a while. If I don't like it, I can always leave. That thought brought comfort. It gave me a sense of control. But what I didn't realize was how complicated leaving would become. At first, it seemed simple. If you don't like it, just go home. But here's what no one tells you. Life doesn't freeze outside while you're here. My house sat empty. Over time, my children started making changes. They sold things they thought I wouldn't need. They discussed renting it out. It became harder and harder to imagine returning. When I finally said I wanted to go back, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage alone? Wouldn't it be safer to stay here? And the truth was, I wasn't sure anymore. After months of not cooking, not cleaning, not walking far, I wasn't as strong as I once was. The independence I had taken for granted had quietly slipped away. My confidence wavered. The idea of returning home, something that once felt simple, now felt frightening. And I wasn't the only one. I met others who had come in just for a little while, only to find themselves stuck. Their homes were sold, their savings drained, their health declined, and suddenly, leaving wasn't a choice anymore. It was no longer a door they could walk back through. It had closed without them noticing. That's the hardest truth of all. Entering a nursing home feels like a decision you can undo, but in reality, it rarely is. So before you take that step, stop and ask, are you truly ready to give up the life you know? Because the longer you stay, the further that old life slips away, and returning to it isn't always within reach. Final thoughts, the choice. I wish I had made differently. Looking back, I don't regret growing older. I regret believing I had no other option. I thought a nursing home would bring comfort, security, and a better way to live. But what I found was a place that slowly, quietly, took away my independence, my identity, and my reason for waking up each day. Does that mean all nursing homes are bad? Not at all. Some people truly need the care they provide. But before you choose, ask yourself, is this really what I need, or just what feels easiest right now? If I could go back, I would have searched harder for alternatives. I would have explored home care, community help, part-time assistance, anything that allowed me to stay in my space, on my terms, a little longer. Because the routines you have now, the little freedoms, the choices you make every day, they are priceless. And once they're gone, you realize just how deeply they shaped who you are.